What if Jesus doesn't come to fulfill your expectations, but he actually undoes them completely? Welcome to Holy Week. Yesterday was Palm Sunday, and all of this week, those who profess Jesus as Lord are worshiping him and reflecting on all that he did leading up to Good Friday when he was crucified, and Resurrection Sunday when he was resurrected from the dead on Easter. It's such a peculiar way to start the week. Yesterday was Palm Sunday. It is this day where we remember the crowds laying down palm branches and shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna, meaning God saves or God save us. Hosanna. And yet Jesus comes not on a chariot with a sword in hand, as they would have expected. He actually comes on a donkey. He's coming to undo all their expectations, all that they hoped and dreamed of for a Messiah. Let's picture the moment, right? Israel for centuries has waited for a Messiah. They're waiting for a ruler and a leader to come and overthrow the government. They want him to have a sword and an army and march into town and take over Rome, the power at the time. He's coming to flip everything on its head. I remember growing up seeing the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the old school one, the first one. And when the kiddos get the tickets, the golden tickets to go into the chocolate factory, the crowds are waiting at the gate. They have rumors and have thought and heard and seen about Willy Wonka, this kind of eccentric genius. The door opens and out comes Willy Wonka with a cane, and he's sort of quiet and jokingly limping. And it's so not what they expected. They expected this chocolatier, this genius, this one who has put on this contest for the golden tickets all around the world. And he limps, and he limps, and he limps, and at the very last second, he does sort of a somersault into jumping in front of the kids, and then all of his eccentric kind of quirkiness comes out, and he welcomes them to the factory, and everybody claps and cheers. But his initial entrance to the crowds was not what they expected at all. Now, Jesus is not Willy Wonka, but you get the idea. Their expectations were totally flipped. The people are saying, we want power, and Jesus says, I want servants who will love. We want authority, and Jesus says, I want humility. We want to kill our enemies, is what the people are thinking, and Jesus says, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Everything that they expected and hoped and put their dreams in, he is undoing and actually flipping on its head. In this moment, he's flipping everything on its head, and every box they had about how Jesus and God could fit compartmentalized into their life as if God is a condiment to sprinkle onto their agenda. He is breaking and ripping all of that up. Isn't it fascinating that Jesus comes in on a donkey? Think about this. God, who came down in Jesus and put skin and bone on when he was born where? In a stable, around farm animals, in a feeding trough. And now, coming into Jerusalem with the week that would be his kind of full circle moment, the purpose in which he came to die and resurrect, to make all things new today, he again smells like a farm animal. He should have come with a sword and a chariot, is what they're thinking, but he comes on a donkey, once again smelling like a barn. Our humble Savior. It blows my mind, the full circle moment from birth to death. All throughout the Bible, Jesus comes, and the Lord comes, and his presence comes through sort of a tearing. In the beginning of creation, there are things that tear open for light and darkness. When the Israelites leave Egypt and they're going into freedom from slavery, they go through parted, torn open waters. Even after wandering in the desert, the Jordan River tears open for them to walk across into purpose and promise and freedom. And here once again, the Spirit of God hovering over Jesus, God incarnate, tears open the crowds to walk into his full purpose. There is this tearing open again from slavery into freedom, from wandering into purpose, and now for Jesus, leading into death and resurrection to make all things new, once again through a tearing of a crowd. Last light bulb moment for you to reflect on Palm Sunday. In the Old Testament, Passover feast is what was happening during this time. When they would remember Passover, the first day of that week-long celebration or feast or remembrance time, they would get a perfect, spotless lamb. Let's say a family. They'd find a lamb, spotless. They'd bring it into their home. For 4 or 5 days, that lamb would be a part of the family. It'd be in their neighborhood. It'd be in their home. And then on the 6th and 7th day, they'd perform the ritual and kill the lamb in honor of the Passover. And now Jesus, the perfect, spotless lamb, for the next 4 or 5 days, just like in the Old Testament, is coming into their neighborhood, is coming into Jerusalem, and he is going to flip some tables and disrupt a whole bunch of systems. But just like the lamb in the Old Testament came in remembrance and was sacrificed, Jesus comes, the perfect spotless lamb, the last lamb that would ever have to be sacrificed, is coming into Jerusalem for a couple days, makes his residence and home there, and then ultimately is killed for it. Here's some reflection for you on this Palm Sunday. What expectations do you have of Jesus that need to be undone? Do you have strings attached to how you think about God? Does God fit in a particular box for you? There are so many things that we hold fast and hold tight to that this week allows us to say, I don't want to be like that crowd that recognizes Jesus as Messiah 1 minute and then kills him 4 days later. I want to be someone who sees this man on the donkey for who he truly is. This Easter week, ask for fresh glasses and new lenses in which to see these stories. These are stories we've heard over and over again, right? Palm Sunday, Jesus flipping the table, the Passover meal, his Last Supper with his disciples. We've heard these stories a bunch. Ask God to give you a new lens in which to see them, and also sit back and look at the beauty of the full story, from Jesus' birth in a barn to him entering into Jerusalem smelling like farm animals again. From the perfect lamb in the Old Testament, over and over, these people waiting and having this sacrifice and ritual and remembrance, to now the perfect spotless lamb coming to move into the neighborhood and to make all things new. The tearing open in creation, the tearing open of the waters, the tearing open of the river, and now the tearing open of this crowd so that Jesus can walk through and bring fulfillment to all those prophecies. He is a walking fulfillment, but in all the ways that we didn't expect. Be encouraged. Take some time to reflect as we look back at Palm Sunday and enter into this Holy Week. I'm praying that in you, in your heart, and in your spirit, he would begin to make all things new.